On the night of April 21st, 1977, in the small town of Dover, Massachusetts, three 17-year-old boys, Bill Bartlett and his friends, Mike and Andy, were driving along the rural road called Farm Street, and with the headlights they spotted the monster. Bill is the one who spotted it and originally thought it might be a cat or dog, but once those headlights shined on it, he quickly realized he's never encountered a creature like this before. The other boys did not see the creature. Bill drops off his friends and returns home, where he explains to his father what he had seen and even drew it on a picture. The description of this cryptid has been relatively the same across all witnesses. They have described a 3 to 4 foot tall humanoid-shaped creature with large eyes that either reflect green or orange. A large melon-shaped head with no nose, ears, or a mouth. Bill here apparently got close enough to notice it had long fingers that gripped onto the rocks as it gazed back at them. He also saw green eyes. The description of its skin is that it's hairless, either having beige or gray skin. Strangely, Bill went as far as describing the creature's epidermis as wet sandpaper. And even more strangely, Bill is quoted as saying he swears on a stack of Bibles that he actually saw this thing. A few hours later, 15-year-old John Baxter was walking home from his girlfriend's house, and about a mile into his trek, he noticed a figure approaching him through the tree. John believed it to be a friend and calls out to it. No response. As John tries to get a better look at it, the demon runs away, across a gully, and then tries to hide next to a tree. He describes something different here. First, he said it had figure-8-shaped eyes. But what's even stranger is that the monster looked like it had clung onto a rock at the base of the tree, with its feet, quote, molded. I'm assuming the individual digits of its feet were more like hands, which John would refer to as monkey-like. So Bill saw this thing first and it was on all fours clinging to rocks from a nearby stone wall. John here has seen it standing and running. This thing is bipedal when it needs to move. The following night, so April 22nd, a young lady named Abby was out driving around with her boyfriend when they spotted the creature, in which she stands by her claim saying it had orange eyes. Her boyfriend weirdly saw green eyes. They described it as looking like a naked child before they realized they have never seen anything like this. Again, it's running around in the trees. With all things considered, I don't find this experience all that convincing. The thing is, the Demon of Dover is only sighted by teenagers. I'm not being ageist, but it's a strange coincidence that only a few people who happen to be in the same age range, and it was only reported over the span of 2 days, back in the 70s. Now, the cops who investigated the claims chalked it up to these kids were making up things because of movies and television. It's 1977, Star Wars came out. Nothing in Star Wars looks like this. Just wanted to point that out. I'm going to be honest here. Stop blaming media. It's so weird. People keep blaming it. I don't like that excuse. It's just a way to just be like, it's not my problem anymore. You need to find better reasons. I see where the constables come to their conviction, but there was something I never thought about until I blissfully divulged some stories about Goatman. We will save that cryptid for a different video, but what I learned here were the tall tales that spin out of lovers' lane narratives. Teenagers and young adults often go to slightly more remote locations to hook up. I'll let your imagination figure out what they're up to out there, but these little nights out often become a piece of living folklore. Speaking of folklore, this cryptid is sometimes compared to, and I'm gonna screw this up, Manageshi. In the Native American tribe, the Cree, they have a lore about there being two different people or beings on this planet. One is us, human beings, while the other are these guys, who are basically smaller people, who have a nasty habit of being tricksters. Something I read about them was that they're known to throw rocks on people passing by in their canoes, which is not okay. That is so not cool for me. But another thing to point out is that the Cree people did not live in Massachusetts and are known to be more Canadian. So I don't know how this idea got here. Stranger than that sideways thought, the rocks. In 2 of these accounts with the Dover Demon, it clung to rocks. Now the Manageshi reminds me more of the punk wedgie than a Dover Demon. Pieces that I didn't want to lose out on, but had really no place to put them. Bill Bartlett went on to become a very successful painter. I even found his website. Good stuff. Which means he's an artist. And that night back in 1977, when he drew his picture of the demon, Bill knew what he was drawing. He knew about size and proportion, like most artists do, so his illustration is most definitely inspired by something. We just don't know what. Now, after all these alleged sightings, the police investigations, a cryptozoologist named Lorne Coleman came out to Dover with a small team, mainly consisting of ufologists. Coleman wanted to make sure he had his grounds covered. Now we can talk about the alien approach to this subject, which is the most logical idea. Bro, it's so ridiculous that I'm saying this. That explains that what they saw was a little gray alien. This theory explains why it happened on those 2 nights. The little guy might have gotten lost, or it was scrounging around for something, maybe even surveying. Extraterrestrials are known to do that. Now, the issue the ufologist people struggled with is there's no sightings of UFOs, UAPs, no strange lights in the sky. Most have turned against the alien idea and said that it's a baby moose or an escaped monkey. I'm calling them out on their BS. The Dover Demon does not deserve to be part of the cryptid classification and should penultimately be considered American folklore. And speaking of classification, this little guy is not only placed in the Gray's corner, but is now known as a gray crawler, quadrupedal monsters of the night, like this famous photo, which I mean, just think about the creepypasta The Rake. Now the Rake is not real, but it is inspired by these things. And if you want to spook yourself out, take a deep dive on the internet. I myself have come across some very interesting videos that have convinced me something's out there. And finally, the thing I wanted to say, almost all creatures we have documented have mouths, with the exception of simple organisms and moths. Some moths lose their mouths after the metamorphosis and simply starve to death. These kids said the Dover Demon has no mouth. Okay, so most animals show their teeth in these close encounters, like a bear will roar, a snake will coil. If this thing has no mouth, then it's not of this world, which further tells me this is a hoax. Dover is a small town. I mean, I looked at it on Google Maps, and when I saw the church was located on Church Street, I said to myself, these kids have nothing to do out here. So why not fabricate a story to get some attention and kill time? Oh, and like other cryptids, the Dover Demon is celebrated. So that's it. That's the end. You got Native American folklore, ufologists running around, a bunch of teenagers, and there's nothing to see. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, argue if you feel compelled to. Bye.